Nationalism.
The definition of nationalism is patriotic feeling, principles, or efforts. According to Leon Bradat, who is an author, nationalism, quote, calls on the people to identify with the interests of their national group and to support the creation of a state, a nation-state, to support those interests, end quote. Arguably, the idea of nationalism has been around forever. It's basically just pride in your home and where you came from. But the idea of nationalism basically begins when radical groups are in internal conflict with their country. That can include a corrupt government, economic trouble, or xenophobia, which is the fear of anything different. Nationalism originally began basically when the French and British began to imperialize Africa. They pushed their religion and culture on the people because they wanted to believe that they were the best and that everything else sucked, which is not a good mentality. But nationalism really began to take hold in Europe in the 18th century. Some examples of nationalism are the American Revolution and the French Revolution. The American Revolution was nationalistic because they were very anti-British and they wanted to create their own identity. They truly believed in the American dream and thought it was the best out of all the other dreams. The French Revolution is also an example of nationalism. It was very easy for them to escape into another country during this time, but instead they decided to rise against their conflict and create a perfect society in the name of France. However, the biggest example of nationalism is World War I. Basically, World War I started because all these countries are so prideful and keep pushing their agendas on each other to the point where global conflicts emerge. There seems to be a lack of nationalism throughout the youth of America. Many teens and young adults joke about how they're going to move to Canada and how much they hate this country. It seems the only time we like being American is during the Olympics. Also, Islamophobia is a huge issue in America. Also, immigration is also a huge issue. A lot of people won't consider immigrants, particularly ones from Middle Eastern heritage, real Americans because they're different. There have been many reports of harassment and people being told to, quote, get out of America, end quote. We have a video that shows a man in poorly dressed in American shorts calling a 5-year-old Middle Eastern girl a terrorist.
You called my 5-year-old cousin a terrorist?
Look like Tom.
Okay, but this is America. We can say whatever we want. We can say whatever we want. You don't call a 5-year-old terrorist. Can you say it on video, please? You called my 5-year-old cousin a terrorist?
Look like Tom.
Yo, you called my little cousin a terrorist?
It doesn't matter what age.
Nationalism overall is the most important ism because none of the other isms would exist without it. Many of these countries choose to push their own agendas and create their own isms in the name of their nation. So basically all of you other isms can go home.